got a great question via email about setting goals and staying accountable as a solo entrepreneur or small business owner. And considering it's Monday, and for me that's my goal setting day, here we are. I'm definitely still getting used to this whole thing, and I'm sure that my routines and my systems are going to change over time. But so far, I'm finding that it is very important for me to set goals for myself, like concrete, actual, today goals. Gotta be honest, it's not a thing I do a lot. I don't set like long-term goals for myself. I don't really set short-term ones either. I've never been big on New Year's resolutions. I like setting intentions or setting a theme a lot more. But I am very diligent, and in all of my jobs so far, I have found it really helpful to meet with my boss once a week, usually on Fridays or sometimes on Mondays, to go over what I have to do for the week, what their priorities are, stuff like that. As a person working for herself, I have to do that with myself now. And instead of a boss telling you what to do, that now looks like setting goals and being accountable to myself and my colleagues for following through. The biggest tool helping me with this so far is my planner. Now, I, in middle school, kept fastidious planners with all my homework and to-do items, but after that, I didn't really stick to it. I've wanted to keep bullet journals, I've wanted to keep notebooks. It never really worked for me. That is changing because of this fabulous new planner that I bought from Ink and Volt. It is really nice, cloth bound, like purple cover. I feel like I'm doing like an unboxing video here. But the reason I love this planner the most is because it forces me to set 3 goals for the day. That's it. This is what the weekly spread looks like. There are boxes for morning, afternoon, and nighttime for all 7 days of the week, with the weekends being kind of half boxes. And what that means is that I have to kind of phase out my day. I have to decide what I'm gonna do in the morning, decide what I'm gonna do in the afternoon, decide what I'm gonna do in the evening, which sounds very basic, I understand. But when you wake up and the whole day is there to do all the things that need doing, and there's way more things that need doing than you can possibly do, it is very, very helpful to be like, mornings for emails, afternoons are for catching up on invoicing, and evening is going to be recording or relaxing. There's also a really nice weekly review page at the beginning of each week where you can set goals for the entire week and then have some space to reflect and celebrate and write down your wins. And importantly, down at the bottom, the planner encourages you to review your yearly, monthly, and weekly goals. And that is the part that has really been helping me so far. Again, I am not one for like a grand long-term vision, so the planner challenging me to set goals and intentions for the week, the month, and the year, and to review those every single week to see how I'm progressing and to decide what I can do to advance that goal the next week is so helpful. To be clear, I think it's really okay not to have a long-term goal. If your goal right now is to recover or to maintain or to achieve better equilibrium, to balance your life and enjoy that balance, that's completely fine. And as discussed in my burnout video, recovery is definitely a priority for me right now. That's why most of my evenings in my planner say relax or go to party or get dinner with friend. But it is also a priority for me to level up my business and to grow. I need to do that in order to stay afloat. So things like monthly and weekly goals help me make sure that I am doing something every week, if not every day, to move the business forward. Fellow human beings can also be helpful for this. I tend to let my Multitude colleagues know in our Slack what it is that I'm doing and give them updates on projects, and to check in with a trusted friend or my partner about how each particular day is going. Someone asking me, what did you get up to today, is very motivating because I want to be able to say, you know, I did all these things. I'm also borrowing from a trick that I set up in my first ever day job, the internship in finance that turned into my first job. I'm emailing myself every week, every Friday morning, with a list of the things that I accomplished for the week and a list of what's coming up next week. This is super helpful in your job because it keeps your boss informed as to what you're doing and gives you a list of accomplishments to look back on when your kind of performance review cycle comes around. And in my case, it's useful to remember what I did. You know, so much of the business is, again, keeping it going, keeping it growing, and so I have no idea when I look back like what I did in September because it was 2 weeks ago and I have so much more going on. So whether you archive these in a planner, in a list, in a calendar, or in emails to yourself, I think it is really, really useful to keep some kind of weekly record as to what you did, what you want to do, what went well, what didn't go well, whatever that you find valuable that you might want to look back on. And I think I'm going to be experimenting with kind of theming my days as well. Having one day for meetings, one day for client check-ins, one day for original podcast stuff, one day for maybe record keeping and accounting, and a day to decompress and maybe do creative things interesting projects, things that are new and not necessarily money-making, but still valuable. This won't always be completely possible because sometimes things come up or clients need help on days that you're not planning to help them, and you know, you have to roll with the punches. But for me, getting up and being like, yes, today I have nothing on the calendar, I can just buckle down and like write what I have to write or finish all my accounting or send out all these proactive emails, I think is going to be really useful. So to be determined on that. And speaking of weekly goals, this week is going to be Business Week here on Veto. I'm going to talk about my business tools that I use to keep the business running, different challenges and strategies that I've come up with, and it should be fun. So if you have particular questions, as always, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow for more Veto.